Hello, and welcome to our Zoomin launch webinar. I'm Miriam Brand, Marcom Manager at Zoomin. Our presenters today, Gal Oron, the CEO, and Joe Gelb, our President and Head of Business Development, will discuss how Zoomin can help you leverage your existing product content to improve your customers' experience. But before they begin, I would like to cover some housekeeping issues. You can type in questions at any point in the webinar, and they will be addressed during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. This webinar will also be available for viewing later. We hope to have the recorded webinar available in about 2 days. As soon as we do, we'll send you an email with a link to the recorded webinar. Everyone registered for the webinar will receive this link, so if you have any colleagues who couldn't make it to the live webinar, rest assured that they will still receive the link to the recorded webinar in about 2 days. So now, with no further ado, Gal Oron. Gal?
Yes, thank you very much, Miriam. And hello, everyone. We're very happy to have you on this call. This webinar is basically tailored for our Suite Solutions customers. And so we're going to go a little bit more in details, telling you exactly about the process that we've gone through, why we did it, what it means, and with our new message. And as Miriam said, we'll be very happy to answer any kind of questions. Basically, the webinar is going to be divided into a presentation that I'll deliver, and then Joe will take over and will show some more specifics, demonstrations of some of our products. So let me start. Zoomin. Our goal is basically to bring your customers closer to the content they look for, and to bring you closer to your customers by understanding who they are and what they like, and over time personalize the content you deliver to them. Our approach is that we're not in the business of educating your customers of how to consume your content. We want to do it on their terms. They're looking at you, at your company, at your service, at your products from everywhere, from different touch points like we call it. And we want to be everywhere they look at you and provide them the content they look for. And because we believe that each one of those touch points that we're going to discuss in a minute may be the only touch point that they look at. And if they're not going to find what they look for there, or if it's going to be too complicated or too hard to get their content they look for, they're just going to look somewhere else. So that's the general idea. And what I'm presenting here is a customer journey model that basically looks at your customer journey in a general way, but from the perspective of what we call customer touch points. So for each one of the steps here in the journey, you can see the different touch points that are applicable for this step. So for example, when your customers start discover about your product or company or service, they would usually do it on the web, in a company website, in a branch or a store if it's relevant, or maybe in all kind of social media application. Then they would go about searching and researching about your product or services, comparing to other products before they decide to buy. After they decide to buy, they go to the middle circle where they start using the system, getting help either through a self-service or calling your call center, sharing it, personalizing before they repurchase, and then they go into the inner circle where they become like the long-term loyal customers that evangelize about the company and become your friend, and that's where we want them to be. So that's an interesting model by itself, but what we mapped here are the different steps throughout the process where we believe that product information should play an essential role. And unlike the common notion that believe that product information usually is more helpful in the post-sales phases, you can see that we think that product information also plays an essential role in the various pre-sales phases throughout the process, and that's an important factor to consider. Out of this model, we basically mapped the 6 touch points that we believe are the most important ones to consider for product information. The first one is the search engine, i.e. Google. If we're not going to be good there, if we're not going to be indexed properly, they may never get to the knowledge base and the doc portal in your website. The 2 additional touch points are the doc portal and the knowledge base. The doc portal usually the more in-depth technical information, while the knowledge base is usually more about how-to articles and videos, video tutorials, and so forth. The next touch point is the call center, where you allowing your call center reps to provide to have immediate access to answer that they need to provide to customers. The next touch point is customer communities. I'm not sure how many of you are aware or are using customer communities, but basically customer communities are the new evolution of forums and blogs, and that's where a lot of companies have their customers basically ask questions and get answers from either other customers or maybe from some support people. Customer communities have grown a lot in the past few years and are becoming for a lot of companies are becoming a primary destination for their customers because it's 100% indexed in Google. So in many cases, if you search in Google for a specific solution, you're not going to go directly to the doc portal or the knowledge base, but rather to the customer community. And we can elaborate on this a little bit later on. And the last touch point that we mapped is IoT, which stands for Internet of Things. This is the new kid on the block, which basically means that we're taking advantage of smart devices that are connected to the internet today, and the smart content that a lot of your companies have been generating or are currently generating, in order to do all kind of things like self-diagnosis of the devices, or even self-repair of the devices, and many other very interesting things that you can do based on smart devices and smart content that you're generating. So these are the 6 touch points, and we found some interesting figures that are applicable for each one of those touch points. So 81% of the customers look for product information from Google. I mean, it's probably not a surprise, but these are high number. 73% of the consumer, they want to solve their own problem. They would rather not call anyone and just solve their own problems. 91%, they would say they would use a knowledge base if it really is tailored to their needs and not just a very generic thing that they cannot find what they look for. 65% of sales reps complain that they really don't know where to find the content that they need to send to prospects. 85% believe that companies should present information via all kind of social networks and communities. And regarding IoT, 94% of all businesses saw a huge return from IoT investment, which is a very high figure. So despite all of this, we found, and from the analysis that we did in the industry, that those touch points or product information in reality is really underutilized across those different touch points. The only touch point that is utilized in a reasonable way is the doc portal, but even then it's usually in the static form of the content, or usually in the form of PDFs and not in a dynamic way. But in any case, the other touch points are really underutilized, and we found 3 reasons for this. One is awareness, meaning understanding the value of bringing your content to the knowledge base, to the call center, to customers' communities, to IoT devices. These best practices are not always known in the industry. The next one is ownership. As I'm sure you know, in many organizations, each one of those touch points is owned by different stakeholders in the company with different KPIs, with different output needs. And unless a company has a coherent content strategy, sometimes it's difficult to get a decision to implement a system or a solution that will include all of those different touch points. And the third reason for this underutilization is feasibility. The existence of a technology or a platform that really allows delivering product information across those different touch points. So what companies usually are doing are one of a few options. One, they may not do anything, they may not publish or deliver product information to some of those touch points. The other option is to use a specific application for each one of those touch points. And in this case, you solve one problem, but you create another problem by deepening the silos, because usually those systems that you're going to get for each one of those touch points are not going to be integrated, and then the content is not going to be shared. And the third option is to basically create some in-house offering, which is tailored to the specific needs. But in-house applications are usually not scalable, and in the long run, they're also more expensive. So what Zoomin provides is a comprehensive platform to publish product information across those various customer touchpoints, and by doing this also gain content-driven analytics about your customers, and over time personalize the content that you deliver to your customers. So this is what it looks like. It basically, we have a platform that that sits on top of your existing product information, whether it's intelligent content in the form of data or other topic-based or XML-based content, or other formats like PDFs and presentations. And we're able to take this product information and deliver it to the various customer touchpoints based on your needs and your business requirements. I'm just going to talk briefly about a few of the examples of those touchpoints, and then Joe will take over and will actually give some real demonstration of those touchpoints. So the first one would be the Doc Portal offering, a product that we call Zoomin Docs. For those of you who know, we used to call this product SweetShare. The new name is Zoomin Docs, which basically is able to turn your documentation portal from a manual-based doc portal to an answer-based doc portal, to deliver this product information in your doc portal in a very dynamic way, and as I said, to turn this doc portal from manuals into answers. So that's the first one. The second touch point is the community publisher, which today we mostly focus on a community platform called Jive, that I'm sure some of you know, which is probably the biggest platform in the world for communities. And what we're able to do there is basically take your product information and bringing it in a smart way into the community, and which results in two immediate benefits. One is increased traffic and page views in the community, and two is immediate reduction in support costs or increase in case deflections. What our customers see in terms of case deflections are any number between 20 to 35 increase in case deflection, which are directly tied to customers finding product information in the community rather than needing to look for it somewhere else, either in the doc portal or calling the call center. So that's the community aspect, the community publisher. And the next one I want to talk to you is our Salesforce service, Zoomin for Salesforce service, that basically allows to push product information directly to within your CRM system. In this example, it's your Salesforce for CRM or Salesforce service. So what we're able to do here is that based on the case description that was open, the product information, and who the customer is, we're able to automatically push to within Salesforce, in this case, the relevant topics. And not only that, but also open, as you can see here, the relevant topic that is relevant for the case that was open, link it to the case, and of course send it also to the customer to review. So that's the next touch point. So with this, I want to thank you, and I want to ask you to connect with us through social media, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn or others, and you can contact us for personalized demonstrations, and we'll be very happy to do it to each one of you, and you're welcome to connect with us. With this, I'm going to turn to Joe, and I'm just going to make Joe as a presenter, and he's going to take over and do the demonstration.
Great, thanks, Gal.
Just
Okay, you should be seeing my screen. Okay. Okay, great. Just move this thing out of the way. Are you guys able to see my screen okay? Okay, I assume yes. Okay, great. So I'd like to do a quick run through of three of the products. Number one, the documentation portal, which is Zoomin Docs. Then I'll give you a quick peek into the Zoomin for Salesforce, and then Zoomin Community. So you should be seeing now on your screen is Eternity on the top left. I'm going to show you a brief tour through two examples of live sites. I'll pick some live sites so you'll be able to live sites that are actually that are unlocked, which means they're content that you can go in and view publicly. Many of our customers have publicly accessible content. Many of our customers have content that's locked down. So I'm specifically showing you content that is you can also go in and take a look at as well. So Zoomin Docs is a platform, as Gal mentioned, that's designed for organizations, for large enterprises, or small enterprises also. And the main thing is that it's a commercial off-the-shelf tool which is designed to be customizable to meet your branding guidelines. So for example, in the case of Eternity here, their colors, their branding, it fits right inside of their website. And so when someone comes to the Eternity website and they need help, they're able to click on the online help and they're able to get into the portal. I'll show you another example. A company called Ping Identity, which just recently went live. Okay, same thing, the same platform, but branded for Ping Identities according to the branding guidelines, their colors, etc. Now, the portal, Zoomin Docs, has basically two ways to go and find content. One way of finding content is going and doing a navigation, being able to navigate down through a series of drilling down based on the product line or based on functional area, whatever's most relevant for the scenarios of how your customers are going to try to find content in your knowledge base. Another way of finding content is to do a search, either a free text search or a filtered search. The filtered search is based on taxonomy. The taxonomy, we support something called data subject scheme out of the box. The idea is that you're able to create your own taxonomy, upload the taxonomy to the system, classify your content using that taxonomy, and then get the faceted search based on that. So for example, let's say I'm using a particular product, it could be or a particular version of that product, and I'm going to do a certain activity. I can go ahead and do a search and go and find the exact content that's honed in for exactly what the context of the product I'm using and the task type and maybe other types of operating system or other parameters that might be useful for this customer to be able to find content. Once they go and find content, they're able to go and view topics. Okay, the topics view is more of a dynamic experience, which allows you to add content to your own personal container and to publish that content into PDF or ebook on the fly. Allows you to create comments. So for example, if you want to allow your customers to give feedback either by ratings or giving specific comments, you can allow your customers to post comments. There's a lot of different flexibility. Everything I'm kind of running through now has a lot of different flexibilities based on use cases in your company. For example, do you want comments only to be viewable by people inside your company? Do you want comments to be viewable by other customers, etc.? So all these things are customizable or driven by an admin console that you're able to go ahead and to govern. The solution is completely responsive, so that if I go ahead and reduce my screen to emulate to be on a mobile device, so see how the system morphs itself. Okay, table of contents goes on the top and side to the left. Filters still available. Search ability also. The search filters also go to the top as opposed to the side. So again, this is part of the skinning and the customization to be mobile ready, whether you're working on a mobile phone or a tablet or whatever have you. Okay. What I'd like to do is show you another example here with Eternity. Eternity is an example where not only do they have the drill down to be able to find content and comments, but once I'm able to have things like glossary pop-ups and other types of usability functionality that just makes the system much more usable from a customer point of view and much more dynamic. What I'd like to show you now, and there's a lot more to show. I'm going to kind of go through and be happy to show you more in a follow-up demonstration. What I'd like to show you is how content can be viewed inside of your CRM inside of Salesforce. So what you should be seeing on your screen now is Salesforce. Many companies are using Salesforce not only for their sales representatives, but also for their case agents, where case agents are going ahead and managing their tickets inside of Salesforce. Okay, so let's say, for example, a support agent goes and handles a phone call and makes a new case. The idea is trying to make sure that this case agent is going to find all the information that they need as quickly as possible to help this customer. So let's say they go and they make a new case from the phone list, for example. They start typing in the subject of the problem. Let's say installation of the disk array fails. Okay, they enter this new case. And what we want to do is make sure that this support agent is getting access, quick access, to documentation topics, knowledge-based articles, maybe to videos, maybe to service bulletins that is relevant for solving this case. So in this case, what happens is, as soon as they make this new case, SuiteShare or Zoomin Docs, as it's now called, is now viewable directly inside of Salesforce, and automatically the search is executed based on the complaint of the customer. At this point, the support agent can say, okay, wait a minute, here's a topic. Let me see a snippet, and then if it looks relevant, I can go ahead and click on there and see the full topic and be able to view it right from within Salesforce. So again, instead of being able to having to collect information from the customer, go ahead to a separate portal, either knowledge-based portal or somewhere else, being able to go and find content, also documentation, also maybe knowledge-based articles, also maybe other systems that may be able to find content. Here, everything comes in one filter, and it's provided right from within the Salesforce or from within the CRM interface. Now, from here, the support agent can help the customer, and they can also give comments back to the technical rating organizations. For example, let's say the customer's in line, and the support agent is helping them out, and they say, you know what, now I see why the customer's having the problem. The customer's having the problem because with the new version of the product, the pins switched a little bit, and the documentation needs to be slightly adjusted in order to make it more clear. Okay, so you can send a feedback. Please adjust or update this image for the new release, and maybe give some more details. Once they go and add this comment can be viewed by the technical writers, and the content can be updated and pushed immediately from their CCMS directly into Zoomin Docs. From Zoomin Docs becomes a platform from which the content is being served up to Salesforce. Okay. Now, along with this, we're able to do filtering based on not only based on the search string, but also faceted search based on what we know about this customer. For example, if we already know inside of Salesforce which products this customer has purchased, which versions, maybe with support contract, any other information that might help to fine-tune using a faceted searching capability, this content we can able to do that as well. Okay, so that's a quick run-through of Zoomin for Salesforce. What I'd like to do now is to show you briefly the Zoomin for community. Okay, here also I'm going to show you a live example. We should be seeing on the screen now is Jive, which is implemented for a company called RSA. This company has gone live and is publishing their content, their data content. Actually, their content is some of their content is data, some of their content, or most of their content is being published from Flare. So an example how the system is able to imbibe or ingest content that's not only data but also HTML-based content as well. So here with RSA, they've been publishing their content in. Categories are being created based on keywords and other metadata that's being put inside of it can be populated inside of the Flare topics. Once I click on a category, I'm able to go and find a list of documentation topics, which might help to help whoever's coming in doing a search or doing trying to find information on the community, they'll be able to find my documentation as well. Okay. Now, along with being able to publish topic-based content directly into Jive, there's a lot of other use cases or scenarios that the solution is able to support. For example, context-sensitive help. If you have a community and you want context sensitivity, that's also supported. Another aspect of the system is being able to publish content and update the content without having to refresh or delete the comments or threads of information or sharing which is happening around this topic. So for example, let's say this topic was published and people make comments, other people are sharing this content with their friends, other people in the organization. Once you go ahead and update this content, okay, even if you make changes to your data maps and you move things around, you add things, you delete things, you create more links, the links are always going to be static, so this topic will always be able to be accessible even for newer versions of the content. I'm able to use also other types of functionality inside of Jive and be able to compare different versions of content, being able to have links between different topics, etc. I'm going to show you another example. Here is Jive themselves are actually using our product to publish their own documentation inside of their own Jive community. So here they have a publication that was published, and here you see the table of contents that was generated by Zoomin based on the hierarchy of data content that was published inside the system. Once I click inside of on one of those topics, I view that topic, again, which would originate from data. I'm able to see navigational links, hierarchy links, breadcrumbs if I have cross-references, if I have images, if I have related links, all of that is supported inside the system. Okay, so the customers are able to navigate through your documentation, through your topics, in a similar way that you would expect them to do if they were coming into it like an online help or a knowledge-based portal. Okay. Okay. So that's a quick run-through of Zoomin Docs, which is the documentation portal. We saw how we're able to view documentation through Salesforce, for example, and how we're able to do faceted filtering and also search ability through searching through the documentation portal and finding the content directly within Salesforce. Within Salesforce, I'm able to then get metrics about which topics were able to be used to find solutions to particular cases, and then be able to draw business insights based on that. And we also showed you Zoomin for Jive Community, which allows you to publish data content, Flare content, other types of content into to the community and be able to have a dynamic navigational experience through the documentation, through structured content, and through more complex navigational structures than you would get through a basic Jive documents. At this point, I'd like to pass it back to Gal.
I think that we're ready to take questions, Joe.
Okay.
Okay. So if anyone has questions for Gal or for Joe, this is the time.
I'll say one question here. One question is regarding whether, if you have different types of content, whether that also can be published inside of Zoomin Docs. So yeah, so we have a number of different clients who are publishing not only data content, but also legacy content that's in FrameMaker, for example, that's being published into Zoomin Docs. Customers who are using, for example, AuthorIt, who are publishing content into Zoomin Docs as well. We have customers who are also taking legacy PDF documents, videos, and uploading them as well, PowerPoints and other Word documents even, or forms. So it's definitely a platform that's able to support not only data content but also other types of content, which is basically classified in a way which allows you to do the faceted search no matter what the content originates as. Let's see if there's any other questions. Okay, another question. Okay, next question is, are you recommending publishing the same content to both Zoomin Docs and to the Zoomin community? It's a great question. So a lot of our customers are doing just that, mostly because they're two different platforms, and the idea is that in both of those platforms have searchability and structures that are particular for those platforms. And the idea basically is that no matter where your customer is going to go to, you want to make sure you have that content available in that platform. Okay, some customers are talking about having links from community into Zoomin Docs or backwards from Zoomin Docs into the community, but we found most of our customers are desiring to either they're starting with Drive Community and then looking into implementing Zoomin Docs, or the opposite. They start with Zoomin Docs and then they look into how they can publish that content to the community also. Next question is for Gal. Gal, you mentioned that social as an upcoming touch point, but it was not represented on the slide. Will this be a new brand offering?
Yeah, so I was mentioning, you're right, it wasn't mentioned in the slides. It was an example of one of the upcoming touch points that we're now working on. So right now it's not being offered, but we're going to update you when it's being offered. Okay?
Okay, thanks, Gal. Okay, next question. We're using GSA, which is Google Search Appliance, as our search engine. Can we continue to utilize the GSA capabilities layered with the search in Zoomin Docs? The answer is yes. GSA is able to crawl through or to index content that is in Zoomin Docs. Zoomin Docs assures that every topic keeps a static link or static URL, which means that even as you add more content or as you update content, the GSA or Google itself, if your content is customer facing, or I'm sorry, is public facing, that content can be indexed and found via Google or via Google GSA or via other solutions such as Covio. So we have customers who are using solutions like Covio and have the similar types of use cases. So the answer is yes. Another way that you can use this is that for systems, I believe, like Covio, who have ways of passing in faceted filters or faceted searches. So Zoomin Docs allows you to pass in inside of a URL to pass in faceted information. So you could fasten the URL. So GSA could, or Covio, for example, would be able to field a search query, which includes full text search plus some faceted information. Pass that entire all that information, the full text as well as the faceted information, pass it as a URL or via API API call into Zoomin Docs, and then get back the topics, and then be able to display that on a federated search results screen. Okay. See if there's any other questions.
Okay. Do you see another question, Joe?
Yeah, another question is whether Zoomin Docs is supported as a hosted service. So the answer is yes. So Zoomin Docs can be deployed as a hosted web solution or on-premise. Most of our customers are deploying using our cloud service, which is hosted by Amazon. But some customers choose the on-premise, and we're able to support both of them. Another question. Can you talk a bit about how you plan to gather and display analytics? So right now there's analytics, there's different types of analytics. Most of our customers are already using analytics engines in-house for the rest of their web assets, whether they're using Google Analytics whether you're using Adobe AEM like Adobe Experience Manager. And most of our customers have not been in favor of using yet another analytics tool, which is segmented particularly into the Zoomin Docs. So what we do is we provide plugins basically, or ways of integrating analytics, in-house analytics tools, for example, like Google Analytics or AEM. Out of the box, we support Google Analytics. So if you do not have an analytics tool, you can use Google Analytics out of the box, plus reports that we generate based on feedback and comments and other types of information about how people are utilizing your or giving feedback on your content inside of Zoomin. Another question, can you talk about the architecture? Are the platform versions of Zoomin separate product or extensions to a single engine? Okay, so both. So Zoomin Docs provides a platform for Zoomin Docs, which is the customer-facing or a customer-facing documentation portal. It also provides a platform for our Internet of Things capabilities. It also provides the foundation for the Salesforce integration, okay, and knowledge-based foundation. In the case of communities, so in that case, we're using the similar technology for publishing that we're publishing for Zoomin Docs. We're taking that same publishing functionality and publishing it out to the Jive community. So the publishing and the configuration, how that works, is a similar technology, but it's not this. But Jive, the community, is not using the same foundation platform for actually storing and giving out that and serving up that content. Very much for joining, and just from a personal note as we join, a lot of you have been customers for a long time, and for me personally, on a very personal level, it's very exciting to be talking to you all and to presenting where the company's been moving. A lot of it's been because of your support over the years and continued business and continued feedback, and it's been wonderful working with you guys, and I'm really looking forward to working with you guys, continue to work with you, also in Suite Solutions and also in the new product brand. So please keep in touch, and we're continually looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, everyone.